Jason. Right.
Morning.
Hi there. How you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Awesome. Just have to watch as people join the call so I can admit everybody. There's Amanda. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Kyle.
Yeah,
How's everybody doing today?
good. I'm
Doing
excited to
well.
learn about some Stack Moxie.
Awesome. I love to hear that. Hey, Shay. Just give a couple minutes to have everybody join since I have to pay attention and allow everybody to access. So give me just another second to let people jump in, and then we will kick things off. I'm excited to share with everybody the stuff that we have recently built, along with some amazing things that are on the roadmap, and then hear from everybody. So about what things you all want to see the product be able to do, or exciting new features that you thought of, and here for whatever it is that you guys are interested in. Let's see. I'm gonna try and Zoom sharing. Let's see. Make those participant little boxes as small as possible. Do you guys see that on the screen, or do you not? You only see the slides?
Yep.
I'm only seeing slides.
Only seeing slides. Perfect. Great. Well, I'm gonna just move on to the agenda while other people are joining. So like I just said, do a quick introduction of people who are on the call. We'll talk through the recent deployments. I know it can be a lot to keep up with all of the things that we're releasing. So we're just going to go through, talk about the last couple of things we built, and then move into what are the things that are on our limited beta access program right now. So what are the new features that haven't become generally available yet, but are available to people on this call, and talk about those. Then we'll talk about the roadmap of the next couple of things that we are on our way to go build. And then from there, whatever ideas you all have of things that you would love, etc. So if you do not know me, I am Andrew Watterson. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Stack Moxie. I run the engineering, product, and customer success teams. A former CMO, and way back when I was in the very first class of Marketo Champion. So that's my nerdy credentials. If you are open to it, I would love for you all to introduce yourselves as well, and just come off mute. It'll be a little hectic, but whoever gets in there first is the one who can introduce themselves. Go for it.
I'll jump in. My name is Jason Oliver, work at Percuto as a Senior Director of Operations. You guys work a lot more with Adam Hodgden, who I partner with on a lot of the Stack Moxie work that he's doing today.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Who's next?
I'll jump in. This is Amanda Riley. I work for Atumos as a Marketo marketing operations consultant. One of our clients is implementing Stack Moxie right now. So Kyle Sosa, who's also on the call, and I will be helping them get it all set up. So we wanted to join in.
Awesome. Kyle, you got called out by name, so you're up.
I did get called out. Yeah. Hey, y'all, I'm Kyle. I work with Amanda over at Atumos as well, doing marketing operations. So working with Marketo, account engagement, formerly known as Pardot, and then HubSpot. So yeah, it was recently introduced to Stack Moxie. Excited to learn more.
Awesome. Grant.
Yeah, and hey everyone, I'm Grant, senior consultant technical at Inverta, and yeah, I got this email and I've been out of the loop for Stack Moxie, so I'm coming back in and seeing what's on the product horizon, and they're top of
Awesome.
mind, but yeah, we have.
Cool. Thanks so much, Grant.
And I'm Pete Tavera with ConnectWise, marketing operations manager, and we're using Stack Moxie with Marketo, Salesforce, a few other pieces of our tech stack.
Awesome. Thanks, Pete. What about you, Mayor? I don't know. Mayor's at the computer right this second. But then Shay Channon and Veronica Drake are with Stack Moxie. Did you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Sure. My name is Shay Channon and I run operations at Stack Moxie. Good to see you all.
Hi, everyone. I'm Veronica. I'm on the marketing team for Stack Moxie. Super pumped to be here.
Awesome. As we go through this, if you want to raise your hand, that'll pop you up into the visual for me, so I can see that you have a question about something. If I don't address you and I start to move on to a new slide and you have something that you really want to know, just come off mute and ask your question. But I'll try and keep an eye out for anybody who raises their hand. So I'll pause and get to whatever questions you have. And just a little shout out, if you're not on the Marketing Ops Pros Slack group, please join. Anyone from our team can help you get over there. But that's a primary place that I am first announcing new features, asking for beta people to access it. You go to marketingops.com and there's a place to register for Slack there. And come join us over there. We chat about all things Stack Moxie and how else we can help your team do better stuff with your tech stacks. So let's roll on into what we have been working on here at Stack Moxie. So this is not an end-to-end demo, but rather a huge collection of all the things that we have done loosely grouped together. So bear with me. But as we go through, if there are things that you want to know more information about, feel free to raise your hand, jump in, and I'd be happy to say a little bit more. So we've been working on a lot of stuff, and strangely, I'm going to start off with SOC 2 compliance. And so we have been working very hard to gain our SOC 2 compliance. We've done a lot of stuff on the security side of Stack Moxie to make sure that the system is just robust and secure for you, and that everything is amazing for making sure that there's no possibility to have your data leaked. On the right-hand side, you'll see that we did add a feature because of this that allows companies who are concerned with PII coming into Stack Moxie to fully abstract PII from being included in our systems. Now, I do want to just caution that you probably shouldn't do this unless your security team requires you to do so. If you already have Salesforce and Marketo set up and everything's great, I would not advise you to redact your PII, because as you just saw from that video a second ago, it never enters into Stack Moxie's database at all. So we don't have it. We can't help you understand more about what happened. So I would advise that unless you have a major security need, you don't use that. But it's in the admin section. It's available in case you wanted to do so. The next project that we worked on, I call Everything Everywhere All at Once, but with fewer clicks. And so we've really gone through the application in all of the different screens and tried to add in the basic functionality that you rely on. So it was just easier. So you didn't need to click a bunch of times in order to get to all of the things. So within the scenarios menu, being able to do all of the functions, or on a run log, being able to edit the scenario directly from the run log without having to click on to view scenario, then edit it, etc. So just trying to make these as fast as possible so that there are fewer clicks and things are easier. And then finally, around folders, being able to manage them, etc. In the middle, if you didn't notice, we also have this next run, previous run, where when you're looking at one scenario and you just want to toggle through all of the runs to understand what has happened within this series of runs, now you can easily flip back and forth between each one of the scenario runs. Next up, we wanted to make everything just load faster. So we have gone into every API call. We've gone into the way that all of these pages load and worked very hard in order to make them all just snappier for you. Status dashboard, still it's got a way to go, but we did make it 17% faster. That doesn't seem like a lot to anybody who is sitting there waiting on the page to load, but it is materially faster than it was, and we will continue to do things along these pathways to just make the app as snappy and responsive as possible. No one wants to have to sit there and wait on a page to load. And then we focused on making it just look nicer. So within the scenario creation process, it's now got a much more visual UI. And frankly, I don't know about you all, but if you looked at HubSpot or Marketo 6 months ago, it was a little overwhelming to try and find the things that you wanted as you're trying to build a scenario. So what we did is we grouped all of those by action so that it was easier to find the things that you were trying to do. So I want to create something, I want to update it, I want to delete it, etc. All of those kind of core basic actions that you want to take. Now you click on the action and then you determine which object you want to take that action on. So we moved on to making it easier. Then we started adding in more data tables to help you understand stuff. So when you create an account or a contact, we'll grab now a copy of the data values that you created. And so we grabbed all of those things that we could, and we hid them inside of a button. So all of the rich data that you need is all there, but when you access a scenario run page like this, you don't have to have a huge data set in front of you that is just open and like shows every single field inside of Marketo or Pardot, whatever. You should just see it if you need to dive in to do some troubleshooting. Next, we've worked on our metadata server. So essentially, when you do anything inside of Stack Moxie, it creates an API call to Marketo or to Salesforce or any of these platforms. And it's going pulling like live data out of it. So this seemed a little overwhelming for a while because it was hard to understand when the metadata server was running and when it wasn't, et cetera. So we created a visual indicator you see on the screen right now. That it starts changing to be gold when it is currently running and accessing the server. I'm going to show this other one on the right-hand side real quick. It's super fast, but you can see everything starts blinking. And then as it resolves and it pulls all of that metadata off of the servers and into your Stack Moxie scenario, it'll stop. Sorry, let me let Megan in. It'll stop flashing and it will go back to the gray area. So we just wanted to provide insights for you in how long it is taking the other servers we are connected to return the data set that you are interested in. So just give it a second. If everything's blinking in gold, that means the system's working. It's trying to do a really complex data load at this time. And it'll be done in just a second. All right, let's keep going. Next, for those really, really big data sets, we love you guys, but when you have thousands and thousands of programs and static lists, it was a lot for us to pull off your servers and not make the application really, really slow. So what we did is we started caching your data for 3 days. So there you can see in the event that you want to refresh and I'm just going to replay this as I continue to talk, but it's cached now, that list of program names or that list of static lists or smart campaigns, and it will not re-pull that data off of the server for a couple of days. But if you need it, because you just added a new program, all you have to do is hit that little refresh metadata button. It will dump the current cache that we have saved for you, and it will re-pull it for you so that it is up to date. So that's at an organization level. So, you know, if Amanda and Kyle are both working on a Marketo program or whatever, when Amanda goes and she initially pulls that Marketo program data, Now Kyle doesn't have to wait for that data to load when he comes in to build something right after her, as long as it's within that 3-day window. So we're just, again, just trying to do anything that we can do so you're not waiting on servers and machines to talk to each other. You're focused on building the next scenario that you're trying to do. We added in notifications for Microsoft Teams. So you can get notification alerts to your email, to Slack, to Microsoft Teams, and you can push updates to PagerDuty to create tickets as well. So not a cute little video here, but I think we all understand how Teams and Slack are very similar, and you're just pushing an update when there's a failure to those particular channels. Next up is Drift. We increased our Drift connection to include playbooks and conversation tags. So it's possible to discover the conversations in a step and then use a token to input the ID there and then be able to start checking things about it. Be happy to chat with anybody offline who's looking to do some really cool things around Drift playbooks and conversations. And when we get to the super secret limited beta stuff later on, there's some cool things that we are going to do there. Next up is a feature that was heavily requested. There are two features that kind of go side by side. The first one is linked scenarios, and that's being able to say on pass or fail, do some more stuff. So I can create the set of steps up at the top, create an account, create a contact, whatever. And then based on the outcome of those 3 steps, if they all pass or any of them fail, then go on to do some more stuff. So in this case, I'm going to create an account and a contact, and then when they pass, I'm going to go on to checking a name, a type, and a status. But if something about that fails, then I'm going to go in, I'm going to delete the contact and account, and I'm going to move on, for example. Where I really see this being relevant is on things like lead lifecycle testing or GDPR and data privacy compliance. When you're trying to do these activities that have more than one outcome potential, this will help streamline what happens after that. So I go to a form for GDPR testing and I say that I'm in Germany. So now I need to get the double opt-in set of things, or I say I'm in France, I need the single opt-in set of things, for example. That would enable you to do kind of more dynamic testing by linking together multiple scenarios in order to drive more complex solutions. So here's an example of what happens on the left-hand side when it passes, goes through, it creates the relevant things, and then it checks the name and the type. And then, as you can see, step 3 in the right-hand screenshot is failing. So it went on to do the on-fail set of activities, and it deleted the objects that had been created in step 1 and 2. This is a complex feature. Understanding how to link together tokens is no joke. We'll talk about where that is on the roadmap and how we're thinking about creating a better token experience in the future. All right. This is kind of a nerdy below the fold kind of thing that we did, but I do want to just call it out. Essentially, when you ran a scenario, it creates this like long blob of data. And that was great for us to be able to create your scenario run log, your long set of the 45 different things that you're checking in a particular scenario. But man, it was really hard to get collective or holistic insights across all of your scenarios, because we'd have to go into this huge set of data and then find the relevant information. And so what we started doing is we started writing the first failure message and some relevant metadata around it on the scenario itself. And not that you all care about this, but it will provide us the ability to do some really interesting things in the future. So whether it becomes machine learning or AI, or we are helping proactively surface things to help you resolve the challenges within a particular scenario. We're going to do more and lean in further here to help you fix scenarios faster. So more to come on that one in the future. Next up, we updated our UTM Builder blueprint. So here it made it super easy. If you're trying to generate a new set of URLs for a campaign, drop in your URL, drop in your campaign name, and that's all you got to do. You don't need to know that for webinar, I need these 9 links to be created for this place or that place. That's too much work. Just create a blueprint. So anytime you do a webinar, these are the 9 links. You drew a trade show, here are the 5 links. You release a piece of content, here are the 2 links that you need. Whatever the case may be per your business's configuration, you set up a blueprint for each one of them, and then you just have to drop in the data values that change. So what's the URL? What is the campaign for this? That's it. Made it so much easier, so much faster to create amazing URL sets using our new UTM Builder feature. Naming conventions is everybody's favorite topic to complain about. So we've created the campaign builder, which allows you as an admin to specify what is the naming convention that I want to use. And then within the builder, you can select from the various values that you have. It's going to create a beautiful campaign name that follows your organization's specific structure. I can copy it and go ahead and use it. I can add it into a published values category if I want to keep a copy of it, or it can automatically push it into either Salesforce or Marketo. I can either create a Salesforce campaign, or I can create a new Marketo program or clone an existing Marketo program. So in this case, I grabbed a particular campaign, I'm going to drop in a description. And when I hit clone, it creates that Paris Fashion Week campaign name directly inside of Marketo. And now it's available to go ahead and start editing it. I will say we absolutely tried to extend this functionality to both HubSpot and Pardot as well. Unfortunately, the APIs don't have similar endpoints to work in the same way. I've been in touch with HubSpot's product team to discuss having them allow us to do something very similar. And they've told me it's on the roadmap, but everything at some point is on the roadmap, right? So we'll see when that comes about, if we can extend that same functionality to HubSpot and Pardot as well. All right, we introduced a second web browser. This is maybe not everybody's favorite thing that we have done, because it added a little bit more complexity to things. But ultimately, we had a couple of clients who wanted to do things that they just couldn't do with our old web browser. In particular, when you have generic names, either IDs or classes or names for various items on your website, made it very hard for StackMoxie to know what thing to actually click on. So if every one of your pick lists were all called the same thing, but just had different data values in them, it was hard for us to figure out which pick list to grab for you, etc. And so based on the feedback of our clients, we needed to introduce a couple more features. And in order to do so, we had to spin up another web browser. So the important things out of Selenium, so that's the second web browser is Selenium. The first thing is it'll allow you to determine which browser you want to use. So I can run tests in Chrome, in Firefox, or in Edge. I really wanted to support Safari, but unfortunately Safari only runs natively on Mac OS. So there was no way to roll that out into the cloud for the way that we have things configured. The second amazing feature of the Selenium browser is the ability to set the viewport size. So the viewport is your screen width and resolution. So you can either have desktop, tablet, or mobile devices. So when I take a screenshot on small there, I will see it in a mobile device format and be able to see how does my website look on mobile for Microsoft's web browser. Then finally, lower down, you can see there are two new ways that you can click things on a page that were not available in the first web browser. The first way is through partial link text. And so you could say started there as a selector, and it would find the get started button and automatically click it. Unfortunately, there's no CSS selector for text, for link text, nor is there a CSS selector for XPath, the thing down below that. So by using Selenium as your browser, you will be able to click on things that you weren't able to click on before using a couple of new methods that were not available in the past. I'm gonna keep going pretty quickly. We added in a couple of email checks, and sorry, the resolution on this video is so much lower than all of the other ones, but email check for images. So being able to say, I want to look at this particular email and check all of the images in it to make sure that there are no broken images in the email. And the other thing is you can have a human approval step. And so you can send an email to somebody, say, hey, can you check out this email that I just sent you a preview of? When they get this, they then have a link, they click on it, and they either pass or fail the particular human approval step. And that enables you to say, okay, I'm gonna have this complex campaign logic for all of the things that I want to have happen. But then once everything else is validated, I want a human to give it a thumbs up and say, yeah, it looks great. Or, hey, no, I want to change the copy to be like this, whatever the case may be. Just note there's one tiny limitation around this, and that is currently the longest duration that you can do is 3 days. So you can do up to 72 hours to allow them to give you approval. After 72 hours, we're going to automatically fail the test and say that the SLA was unmet. We'd love to make that as long as you want. You can give people a couple of weeks if that's what they need. But per our current limitations, 3 days is what you get. Next up, we started fixing the URLs rather than asking you to do that. So annoyingly, if you put in stackmoxie.com in the past, it wouldn't know what to do with it. It would be like, hey, you don't have an HTTP there, it's not a valid URL. And it would pop up an error message and tell you that you had to add it in there. So now instead, we're going to put it in there for you. So you don't have to do it. We'll automatically append your URL with HTTPS as you saw there. So you don't have to worry about doing that at all. Next, in the admin section, there's a company homepage that you can put in. And we're using this as a shortcut for scenarios. So you don't have to type in your company's website over and over. I don't know about you, but I'm always testing stackmoxie.com. And that's just really annoying. So instead, now you can just do homepage, and that'll automatically pull in the URL that you have with your in your admin section. So you don't have to type your website URL over and over. You can just pull in the token for homepage. Almost through these amazing features, but next up we have step deactivation. If you've got a complex scenario and all of a sudden something stops working in Marketo and you start getting a ton of failures, but only one step out of everything is failing, no problem. While you go to resolve that step, you can deactivate it. We'll gray it out so you see that there is nothing that can run. When you then run the scenario, we will not include it when in the scenario run itself. But it's still there. You know, one of the things that was very annoying for Ariel, frankly, and Madison is that, ooh, there's a little chat. I'm going to jump over to that in just 1 second. Is that when they were building scenarios, if something wasn't working properly yet, they would have to delete the step, figure out what was happening, then remember, what was I trying to do in that step? What was I trying to configure, etc. And that will just enable you to deactivate it and then be able to fix it afterwards. Okay, Grant had to take off. Cool, that was step deactivation. Next up, alert link in Marketo. So we added to the email notifications a link to be able to open that particular lead directly inside of Marketo. Next up, there's going to be a new start page that you'll experience. So when you log into the product, you'll get helpful tips and tricks, product updates, checklists if there are things that you haven't yet configured in your particular instance. We're just going to help make sure that you have clarity and focus around the things that need to get done in order to really be able to effectively test inside of Stack Moxie. I also heard from our clients over and over, this is great, but I don't want people to have access to all of our scenarios. I only want them to access the UTM builder, or I only want them to be able to import lists, or I only want them to be able to create a scenario but not delete them, etc. So we've created a fully robust roles and permissions set. So if you go in, this is each one of the sections of Stack Moxie's product. You can create whatever role, whatever permission set you want to create. Don't let anybody on the team be an admin except for the actual MOPS admins, or only let somebody build URLs and campaign names or import lists, like whatever the case may be for whatever it is that you want. You can go in, you can create a role, and then under the teams section, you can, so you can see I'm generating a new permission set. And then if you click on teams, you can assign that to a person. Awesome. Last thing here that I wanted to talk through on the things that we've already created are campaign QA launch checklists. Now, this isn't something new. This is a template. But what we did is we streamlined it and we made it a lot better for your end customers, your campaign operations people, your field marketing team, whoever the end consumer of the scenario templates that you're creating. And we just made it look a lot nicer, hid some stuff. I'm gonna show the video now as it goes through. I go to create a scenario. I want a webinar scenario. I click on it, and all I have to do is input the URL that I want to start testing from. Drop in that URL, and I can automatically start testing it. But what your end users don't need to know is that there are actually 26 steps in this scenario where I am checking all of the welcome to Jomar. So here I'm checking all of these things about a particular scenario. There are 5 different emails that I'm getting. I'm making sure none of them have broken images or broken links, etc. And then in the end, I just return to the client, to the end user, your campaign operations person, your field marketer, whoever. We just returned to them, did it pass or did it fail, right? That's all they need to know. That's all they really care about. Did their campaign, is it ready to launch, is all they need. So I'm going to admit Adam real quick. Oh, where's my mouse? Oops, come back. So the last thing on this campaign QA checklist idea is, if you don't have a checklist for each major type of campaign that you're running, please get in touch with customer success. So you probably are running webinars, trade shows, networking events, different variations of content. Maybe you have one experience for gated content and a different experience for ungated content. Whatever the case may be, if you do not have campaign QA launch checklists inside of your Stack Moxie, where it is super easy to launch a really prescriptive test that tests everything, all of the elements of the things that you need, be sure to reach out to customer success and we can get that set up for you. Let's check and see what chat question we had. No question. Amanda had to take off. Okay, limited beta access. This is the fun part to me. These are the new things that are technically released but haven't yet been published out into the world. First things first, being able to generate a sitemap index of your particular website. And in turn, we will go through, we will scrape every page. We'll look at every link that is on the page, and we will blend all of those links together into an overarching sitemap. That sitemap will then allow you to see the title of the page, the description, if there are forms on the page, what the IDs of those forms are, the last date that this page was updated, and then whether or not it was a success or if there was an error at all. There are some little customizations that you'll have to figure out as you're running this for yourself. essentially your web server could block the robot scraping. So we allowed you to have a couple of little controls around concurrency and request timelines, so that if your website is like blocking the sitemap generator because it's like, hey, we've got too many requests in this, like go away, don't scrape the site anymore. You can then change it to a lower concurrency and a higher request time, and that will allow it to bypass those automated blocks against bots that your website naturally does. All right, the next limited beta item is the website recorder. We've actually tapped into an open source product called Selenium IDE. And what this will enable you to do is open up a website URL. Here in this case, I'm going to look at crank.run, our developer website. Once I start recording, I get the browser itself, and I can go through and I can visually interact with the page. So I'm clicking on this page, I'm clicking on that page, I'm going to go look at cogs, I'm going to look at our deep dive information for how to build my own cog on StackMoxie. All of the documentation is there in case you have any really super nerdy people. It shows every bit of information. But then I can say, boom, I'm done with my particular project. I'm going to give it a name and hit save, assuming I know which button is save. Awesome. Now inside of StackMoxie, I just go to create a new scenario, and there's an import button right in the middle. I select the file and hit import. Oh no, I determine what browser and what selector I want to use. So in this case, I'm going to use link text in Edge, hit import, and the happiest part of my life is the length of time it takes to build that scenario. So you can go through, you can do so many things, and it will automatically generate all the steps in your scenario for you. All you need to do is hit import. Now, let me say, the reason this is being offered on the limited beta is because there are a couple little snippets that we still have to work out with this. I'll just be totally transparent. The first one is that the Selenium IDE, that Chrome plugin that you can use in order to record your web browser, that pops up its own iframe. But if you are using something that has a delayed iframe, like let's say Drift, in order to test with, it kind of inserts itself into the dominant awkward way. And we haven't quite figured out how to deal with that. So you have to change the iframe index, et cetera. So this is why it's not generally available. But if you would like to be able to start using any one of the limited beta features, I'd be happy to talk to you offline about how to get those started. So that was the website recorder, the sitemap generator, and then finally our new Google Sheets connection. So the Google Sheets connection will enable you to create your own spreadsheet triggers. So currently that has been locked down by the customer success team. But with this new advancement, you have to go through, you have to enable API so we can automatically create a sheet for you, et cetera. But this will enable your team to have control over how you extend testing outside of StackMoxie. Also a fun and exciting feature on the way. Cool. Those are the items that we have already built. Let's talk about a couple of things that are on the near-term roadmap before we jump into all of the ideas everyone has about the stuff that they would like to know. Yes, thanks, Jomar. The website recorder is hot. I agree with you. I'm very excited about that feature. I think it will be an amazing thing for really complex scenario testing. You go through, you just do a whole bunch of stuff on the website, and then you can be like, okay, boom, how does this look in Pardot? How does this look in Salesforce? Did they get the proper statuses that I expect them to have for this aspect of their lead lifecycle? And it can just take the process of creating a really complex scenario from a couple of clicks into automatically built for you inside of the software. And I'm excited about that one. Okay, roadmap now. Here's our backlog. So everything above the gold line is everything that you just saw. Below the gold line, we are well on our way to a new cog for Goldcast. That's an event management platform. We're on the final stages of testing that. We just need a beautiful authorization key from them, and as soon as we do, we'll be able to get that rolled out into your instances, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. After that, we're going to do a bunch of things that you guys have all asked for. So the first one is going back to our published values and making that into a more robust feature. So first, we're going to allow you to have a database value versus a label for your end users. We've heard from a bunch of people, hey, when we create a campaign type or something, the campaign type in Salesforce is CS, but our users don't know what CS means. We want them to just see case study in the front end, but in the background, in the database, we want CS to be the value. So we're going to enable that. And then we're going to let you add in descriptions for the published value or for any one of the line items. So if you have snackable content and everybody's like, what the heck is snackable content? You can provide a little description. Hey, this includes quizzes and infographics and whatever the thing is that you want that to be. And then looks like Jomar dropped out, but he's coming right back in. So that's published values 2.0. The next one is step qualifications. So I know a lot of people would love to have branching conditional logic. It's very different from the way that scenarios are built today. So as a tweener of that idea, we're gonna allow you to do if this, then that, else this. So it'll be 3 blocks where it'll say first, for a step, if these 5 things are true, then I want you to take this action. Otherwise, I want you to do this. If the 5 things aren't true, then I want you to do this other thing. This is a complex project. It's very different from the way that our scenarios work today. I wouldn't expect that feature to be built overnight, but I know so many of you want it. So I'd love to get that built for you. We're going to do a little refactor around the UTM builder. We made some very early decisions about how things were done that haven't scaled. That's the way I want to say that. They haven't scaled with this product. And so we want to do a couple of things to make the UTM builder more scalable, allow things like regional differences in the builder. So I want a UTM builder for APAC. I want a UTM builder for Europe. I want a different one for North America. Enabling things like that. Anchor links, being able to completely modify and reorganize things in the UTM builder. All of those things are coming in the refactor. I talked about the failure messages earlier. We went through all of the failure messages that have come in the last 2 or 3 months, and we categorized all of them and tried to find the easiest way to resolve the failure. And so for all the ones that have really easy or great abilities to diagnose, we're gonna pop up a little banner that's like, hey, for this particular one, it looks like your authorization is off. You need to go to the connections page and reauthorize in order to have this scenario run. And then I mentioned earlier a new tokens experience. That new tokens experience should help make the use of tokens inside of StackMoxie more intuitive, easier to understand, while still retaining the power and complexity of our tokens today. So right now you can say Salesforce.lead and then any field name after that, but it's a little hard to know how to do that. So Salesforce lead, product of interest category 2 was a lot to type out. So we're going to make a new and intuitive experience for how you generate those tokens in an easier way. 2 other things that we want to kind of get to in the near term. The first is, I don't know about you all, but I hate the navigate and submit form step. It causes such challenges for people because people want to be able to like navigate to a page, do a couple of things, then fill out a form. But the navigate and submit form step breaks that functionality. So we're going to look into how do we create just a fill out form step. That fill out form step can be placed anywhere within your scenario. So I want to navigate to a page, I want to click through 5 other pages, and then I want to fill out the form. The new step will enable us to be able to do something like that. And then down at the bottom, a couple of other things on the near-term horizon that I would love to get to. A failure finder. So how do you be able to look at your failing scenarios holistically without having to click through the UI to find every failing scenario? So how do we surface for you, hey, this is the scenario that's failing the most, or using those failure messages that I was talking about before in the messaging banners, being able to use those to surface, hey, you are having the majority of your failures around lead lifecycle status of MQL. You need to work on your lead lifecycle model to figure out why there are so many failures in this particular space. And then finally, rounding out the top 20 things that are on the backlog, support for webhooks, whether that's using a call a webhook step, so I can access any system that uses a webhook through data sharing, or being able to ingest different companies' authorization tokens as permission for using a webhook. So currently, our technology requires you to send us our own ID back. So we'll give you an authorization token, but you have to send it back to us. Otherwise, we will reject that as not being a valid request. We in the future will be able to support when Drift has an authorization token, we'll be able to take Drift's authorization token and be able to use that to authenticate whether or not it's a valid request. So that is the stuff that is on the near-term roadmap. I want to just, from here, see what would make your life easier. What are features that you would love to see us build and add? And I'm just going to take some notes. We got, looks like 15 minutes left. Who has something that they would like to talk about? And if anybody has any questions of stuff that I demoed before and you want to see it in more depth, I'm perfectly happy also to jump over into the live product and show you any one of those things in more detail.
I have
What you
a
got, Joe
question.
Mark? Yes.
For the new Google tracking pixel, is there something where, because I'm working on that now, is that something, is that like a template that you guys can make to like help track that, or no?
So already in a scenario, if you say check a pixel, the UA versus GA4 pixels are in there. So I can say navigate to a page, whatever, and then, sorry, I have to move this out of the way. Check a pixel. And then here within the names of the pixels, you can check Twitter versus Visible versus Facebook, but specifically GA4 is already in there.
All right, perfect. Thank you. That was
what you need.
Yeah, that was just giving me anxiety because I was trying to see what I could do after I reinstalled it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, this like initial one over here, we've got a starter that's for UA. Like we just need to appreciate those because nobody's still using UA as their primary thing because it's going away in a couple of months. What else? Who else has some ideas, questions, comments?
Hey, Adam. Real good stuff. One of the things I've been looking forward to or hoping the interface could have would be if myself or our team gets notified of a failure, like during real-time monitoring. So overnight, people have been trying to use a form and maybe somebody on our website embedded the wrong form ID. So we get a bunch of alerts overnight. We go into Stack Moxie. We made an error. We have to fix it. It'd be great to have the ability to sort of assign or the fix to somebody, or to update the status to be like, oh, Pete's working on it, or Sarah is fixing it, or Lance fixed it. This is all set. It's no longer an issue. That sort of thing. Sort of like I'm not sure if it's a project management thing, but just basically sort of being able to sort of when you see a bunch of failures that come through, you want your boss or your team to know that you're working on it, or that it's being worked on, or that it's been resolved. It'd be great to just have I don't know what that would be. Is it a flag, a status, a check mark, or whatever?
We have this feature scoped out as, we call it a bug tracker.
Sure.
My question to you is, are you using a project management tool today? Like, are you using Jira or Asana or
we do, but for this type of thing, it's really, the marketing ops team has just picked me to go in every morning or periodically to just go ahead and fix these errors. But if I was on vacation, I'd want them to do it. But basically, the team gets notified. That's how we set up Stack Mox. We get notified of this failure. They assume I'm fixing it, but I want them to know that either this thing's been fixed, it's hasn't been fixed yet, or it's in process. That sort of thing would be great to have.
Oh yeah, I love that idea because everyone's always wondering, like, did he fix it? Did he not fix it? And no one knows. So like basically like an approval, like, oh, I'm currently in progress, and then it sends it to the other admins or the other staff, like stakeholders in the product, in the tool, like, oh, like this is getting fixed, blah, blah, blah. Because they don't
Right.
know, like, okay, I'm fixing it right now, or I'm sending someone, another person from my team to escalate. No, that's a brilliant one. I love that one.
And then another layer on top of once you do that, then another layer would be to like that's a real-time monitoring, right? But then let's say you fix the error, right? You fix the form ID or whatever was broken, and then you want maybe Stack Moxie to just run a scenario to confirm that it's fixed or whatever. That'd be the next step too.
Awesome. Who else? What other ideas do we have? Make it too easy on me. Come on.
Is there a way, Adam? So the spreadsheet triggers, or doing our own spreadsheet triggers would be great. So I could stop bothering people at Stack Moxie to create them for us for some of the testing we do. Is there any way to not have to use Google Sheets? Whether because we use Microsoft here, we have Excel. Like, is there even a better interface that's not sort of a spreadsheet that you guys can create, or some other platform or interface that's not just a Google spreadsheet?
And so is that a request for Office 365 or for something that's not a spreadsheet at all?
Maybe not a spreadsheet at all. I'm envisioning we just log into Stack Moxie. We use some sort of interface you create there. Maybe in the back end you're using a Google spreadsheet, but so it just doesn't look like you're using a spreadsheet. You know what I mean? It's just
For sure. So, well, first and foremost, on the scenario starters page, right? That's the purpose of these templates, right? So if I go to webinar, essentially all a spreadsheet trigger does is hook up to one of these templates and then offers it somewhere else. I don't want you to use spreadsheets. I want you to be in the product. So I want you to just click right here and just use this. So like
Right.
this is the user interface that I want you to be using. And it's a lot less complicated. But if you want to extend this to people that don't have access to Stack Moxie, that's the reason that spreadsheets came into play in the first place. But now with the inclusion of the roles and permissions that are customizable, now you can lock down all of the rest of Stack Moxie and say, hey, you only have access to these templates and to create scenarios from these templates. We also hit all of the details and stuff like that so that they only have the information they need. All they need to do is drop in a URL and hit run, and that's it, right?
So, I mean, I like the simplicity of the spreadsheet triggers. Like we use it to submit Marketo forms, and we just kind of plop in the values we want it to be submitted, and blah 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 blah. I just wish like it wasn't as clunky as just like using a spreadsheet. Like I wanted to impress someone on our who pays the bills or whoever to be like, oh, this is a cool tool to automatically submit a test form. Anyway.
I'll be honest, there are a couple of things in the product that just drive me nuts. 1, navigate and submit form. 2, the status dashboard. 3, the spreadsheet triggers. Those are the things that just like drive me nuts more than anything else. So that's the reason we went through this whole Google Sheets connection, so that we will in the future be able to automatically update the spreadsheet itself. Because like one of the things that's just so annoying is that if you go into the template and you modify the template, you got to spin up a new spreadsheet. And so every time you make a change to the template, you have to spin up a new version of the spreadsheet. And like, that's just aggravating. And so we'd like to try and make that a little bit more automated of a process, which is why we created the native connections. There is also the ability to do the same thing from Airtable. Thanks, Jomar, whose team went ahead and automatically hacked that. And we were like, hey, that's really easy. We can just make that a part of the functionality as well. So it currently supports those too. And then we absolutely could also do Office 365. We just haven't been prepared to get that done. I would love for you to be using this interface in the first place.
Cool. Thanks.
Who else? Audit trail. There's not currently an audit trail.
Okay, I was just wondering, just because like I would like if I was to send that to like a third-party vendor, like our data stewards or something that's third party, I would just want to see like an audit trail to see if they're actually like using the thing, because then I have to charge based on like I want to calculate their hours based on how long they're using certain tools. So I was just wondering.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, you have the persistent list inside of the spreadsheet itself, and then you have all of the scenarios that they create inside of StackMoxie. Those have a person's name attached to them of the user of the spreadsheet. But yeah, I mean, I can see how there's an additional feature that we would love to have added on there. What else do you want, Gemma?
That's it.
Or anybody else, but any other features that people are keen on?
So you
You
said
got
you
more?
guys are enabling notifications through Microsoft Teams. Any other types of notifications that could be coming, whether it's SMS texting or some other, or Slack notifications or something else that you guys can ping us through or reach us
Sure.
through?
Yeah, so Slack is already a thing. You can certainly Slack, PagerDuty, and Microsoft Teams are the things that you can configure today. So those are all set up right here under the Teams section. Fairly easy process. You just log in, etc. It's trying to log me into a workspace that I'm not the admin of, which is why it just gave me an error, but whatever. So those things happen today. And then from there, the thing that I'm continually debating and get kind of different feedback from is how much of the bug tracker idea that you mentioned before, how much of that should be in Jira or Asana or Monday or ClickUp or whatever the case may be versus inside of StackMoxie. And so when I talk to our advisory council, they're like, no, we already have a project management tool. Just give me an integration that makes that easier. And then other people are like, I would love to have it directly inside of StackMoxie. I'm here for either one. I just want to get you the functionality that is best suited for you as fast as possible, which has different routes depending on which way we go. So who else? Anybody that we haven't heard from who would like to? I guess we just have Jason and Adam who haven't chimed in at this point yet.
Yeah, regarding the Slack integration. So I know when you make that connection, it goes to Moxified and whatever, right? Whatever that channel may be. Is there a possibility to have StackMoxie point it to an existing Slack channel? So in our use cases, we have internal Slack channels for all of our clients, right? So if I have client 1, then I would also have a Moxified client 1. Is there a way to push that notification into that internal existing channel?
I'd have to look and see the way the integration works, to be totally honest with you, Adam. I do think it's possible for us to create multiple channels so like you have one organization for each one of your clients. Each one of them can hook up. I think you can customize the name. So like theoretically, as far as I'm concerned, you would be able to create a new channel using a different name other than Moxified. But that's not what you asked. You asked for it to be hooked up to an existing channel. I would have to look at the way the Slack integration works to be able to answer your question there.
Yeah, and and honestly, in some cases, it may be better now that I'm thinking about this even more, because if we're doing a lot of real-time monitoring and a lot of things are coming through, right, we don't want to bloat that other channel. We want to kind of segment it off. So maybe take that back.
I've heard that from other people though. There have definitely been requests for what I hear more from other people are I want you to triage what kind of scenario it is and send it to a different channel based on the type. So if it's real-time monitoring, I want them all to go in this channel. If it's a manual run, I want it to go in there. If it's a schedule run, I want it to go into this channel. How we handle that for everybody and allow you to customize which one goes and which one starts getting a little complex. And so, yeah, haven't quite added that one onto the roadmap in particular, or not in any sort of near term, but certainly something that I've heard from other people.
The only other one that I flagged you guys this morning was about just making sure that we could exclude from a dashboard from the actual dashboard screen. Like that.
Yeah, there's some interesting things that I would like to do there. First and foremost, I want to like completely change the way reporting works. I would like for a different view of the way that reporting into kind of like more of a reliability over time. So you can see instead of within the last particular time period, how am I doing? But like what did I do in January versus February versus March, and see whether or not the folder reliability is going up or down. That's one thing. The other thing that we had on the shorter term roadmap and then ended up putting kind of more into the medium term roadmap is the ability to mark a scenario as invalid and say like, hey, I want to exclude this from all future results because we were doing calibration on this. I know that this was a failure. It was a failure. We got it running properly. I want everything before that to just be wiped out. And I only want to start reporting from there forward. That's something that we like close to going to do. And then we shifted around priorities just a little bit. But I want a better experience for reporting for you guys. All right. That's our time. Thanks for coming today. We appreciate all of the thoughts and insights. Getting to share with you all the new stuff that we built. It's exciting, fun stuff, and love to get you into those betas for the website recorder or the sitemap generator. And we're just working on getting those last little fun things all nipped up so it works really well for you. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Bye.
Great stuff.